Hello and welcome to another 31 Days of Horror 2018 video review. Today we are going back to the dregs of society in terms of film. Watched something I enjoyed yesterday, so I figured, you know what, I'm going to jump into some more micro budget, low budget, direct-to-video stuff with The Unknown. Now, finding out information on this film is not very easy. IMDb is completely whack. There is this, I guess it's this film on there listed as Jag såg min bästa vän dö, Swedish film, I guess. But when I read the synopsis for that film, it's not this movie, and it has a whole bunch of people who are acting in it who are not in this movie, so I don't think that's it. So somebody screwed up somewhere there. So I had to do a little bit of research, and of course I went to the credits of the film, pulled all that information, and went from there. So this is The Unknown. What the original title to this is, I do not know. It's from 2007. Essentially, the film is about a trio of friends who are coming back from a concert when they get almost run off the road by a car, later to find that car wrecked on the side of the road. They go to see if they can help them and find that the car is completely empty, thinking that, you know what, that these people are clearly hurt, and they've wandered off into the forest or somewhere. They decide, you know what, let's see if we can find them. Let's grab some flashlights we have and see if we can track them down, because they're going to need some help. So they go off. Eventually they can't find them. Find a house. Essentially they get lost in the woods and then find a house, shack up there, and then realize getting home may be a little harder than they thought. Yes, so the film is actually directed by a trio of people. Sonny Hellerstedt, David Wallen, and Tommy Wiklund. I don't know. I'm guessing if it's Swedish. I don't know. The first two haven't done anything else. This is the only film. But Tommy Wiklund, who still is kind of a nobody, if you ask me. I don't recognize the name per se. But he has done other films and continues to work now in film. He had written and directed a film called Madness, Wither, Animalistic, and he was the director on, apparently, Puppet Master: The Littlest Reich, the latest Puppet Master. So that's why the name sounded familiar, because I was trying to pinpoint where I knew him from, and all three of these people worked on this, were writers, directors, editors, etc. Now, the film stars, there's the three people essentially in it. Andreas Rylander, Linda Hellner-Tara, and Richard Froelich. I couldn't really find too much on them. Andreas Rylander does come up in IMDb with a few titles and such like that to his name. Some you may know, some you may not. But I didn't recognize them from watching the film. So, yeah. I don't, like I said, it's hard to track down information about this film. I believe it was shot on digital video. I don't think it's VHS, judging by the look, and it's not film, so that's the only real option you have, right? It could have been DV, mini DV cam, I don't know, but it's not bad. It's actually not bad. It's I don't know what you'd call it. Is it a possession film? Is it a haunting film? Is it a... It's not... I wouldn't call it scary. And it is micro budget. It is uber low budget. So don't expect a lot from it. But at the same time, there is some decent amount of gore. There's a lot of red stuff in this film. The story isn't spectacular, but it's not bad. And I mean, it's presented decently enough through the film. Where it really falls short, though, is in the acting. The acting is terrible. And I guess you're going to have to fault the directors. Not so much them as writers, but them as directors. Because, honestly, there's moments where you're pulling your hair out watching this because you're like, this is so bad. The acting is so bad. People are literally delivering their lines, and they're clearly in some kind of a state of, be it upset or angry or fear or something like that. But as soon as their line ends, they just sort of stand there and wait for the next person to say their line type thing. It's just it's terrible, absolutely terrible in the acting department. Yeah, so they're able to deliver their lines on camera. I guess that's something, but there's no emotion really delivered as a result. But yeah, story's okay. Gore is okay. Limitations based off of the way it was done and for the budget do come into effect. You don't really get, it doesn't look fantastic, but it doesn't look terrible. I've seen a lot more direct-to-video releases, even from Sub Rosa, that just looked like garbage. Yeah, I really wish I could track down more information on this film, because it is really, really, really hard. Yeah, it's amazing how few sources there are out there when you're trying to find this information. So again, it's late. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where I really kind of wish that this is where IMDb kind of falls flat, especially if they speak English and they speak good English in the film. Yes, they do have accents, but I wouldn't have pegged this necessarily as a foreign film. But I'm guessing it's Swedish. I'm guessing. If what I'm trying to track down seems to be correct, it's a Swedish film. And I think that's one of the parts where IMDb kind of falls apart, is in their foreign films. Often, they don't have the information correct. People think that the film is a different film than it really is, etc., etc. And unfortunately, I tried checking SRS, and Sub Rosa's, the multitude of websites that they have out there, and I couldn't really come up with anything. I could have contacted Ron Bonk himself to get more information, but seeing as how I shoot these videos kind of like right after I watch them, yeah, not gonna happen. Can't wait. But yeah, it actually, I was expecting a lot worse, truth be known. It's not terrible. It's actually somewhat entertaining. So if we're probably looking at about a 2 at most, 2 out of 5. I can't really recommend this to anybody. If the gore had been a little bit more over the top, I could say maybe, people who are into these micro-budget films and such might want to check it out. I mean, if you're into this direct-to-video micro-budget stuff, and you like ones that actually have a decent story, check out The Unknown. It is definitely worthwhile in that respect, but it is... mainstream audiences, they got nothing for this. Gorehounds really don't have anything for this. No comedy. Outside of the fact that if you were with a group and stuff, you could definitely sit back and laugh at what's going on in this film. It's not intentional, of course, but yeah, it's just one of those things. It's somebody decided to make a movie. They made a movie. It's not terrible. It's just nothing fantastic. And yeah, there is a market for that, obviously. And I enjoy them. You know what? I have no problem watching them. I'll probably watch this film again sometime. But it is definitely not high on my list of, on must-sees, if you will. In fact, it's nowhere near my must-see list. it almost hits the must-not-see list. It's just that, yeah, it's amateurish. We'll just put it that way. But at the same time, it does show. I mean, in terms of the storytelling and most of the editing, I think there's a few instances where I don't think they shot the actual footage that they would have needed to make the edits work. So there are a few instances in the film where the edit is very, very choppy, where it sort of jumps to something without the film, like really giving you that motion to go there. And as a viewer, you can literally tell, somebody will yell like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And then the next moment they're outside and talk. There are things that, yeah, I'm guessing they just clearly weren't shot, or the footage that was shot was just terrible, so they couldn't use it. Or maybe they're just terrible editors. I don't know. It's got to be one of those. Yeah, there's a lot of problems. We'll just say there's a lot of problems. Directing, acting, editing, and then because it's, shot on video, direct-to-video type thing, you get sound, you get cinematography, all those kind of things. I mean, the dark sequences in this film are not good at all. But at the same time, you can follow the story, you know where it's going, you can watch it, and yeah, it makes sense for the most part, and yeah, it's got some red stuff to go along with it. So there you go. That is my thoughts on The Unknown. Wouldn't really recommend it to anybody, and a 2 out of 5 at best in terms of quality. So yeah. I watch a lot of stinkers when it comes to this 31 Days of Horror. Finding those films I've never seen before often has me going down roads often not traveled by most people. So, let me know down below if you've seen the film at all. Love to hear from you. More 31 Days of Horror to come. But we're almost done. So, keep watching. Till next video, take care. Have a good one.